It's the Russell Bound Show and this special Photoshop CS3 presentation that's all about the new Quick Select tool found over here in the tool palette. I will also be discussing the amazing Refine Edge feature. Now, the Quick Select tool, does it replace all the other selection tools? Why, of course not. It's just a quick new way to make a selection. I'm moving over here into this image. I'm using the Quick Select tool to quickly select this door merely by making a pass with my brush over these shades of blue, just like that. I could go in and run my hue and saturation on this. But before I did that, I might want to adjust this. Note that I can hold down the Option or Alt key and click here at the top of the door frame and paint across the top to eliminate the shades of red currently in this selection. So that's a quick way of making a selection, and of course you could bring up your hue and saturation dialog and adjust the hue for this door just like that. But in this project, I want to take it to the next step. I'd like to show you some super user tips and techniques for using this new feature. To begin with, let's deselect from that current selection and let's cast our eyes up here to the options bar. The first thing I'd like to point out is that the best results are achieved when selecting a hardness value of 100% for the brush you're using, as you see here. Also, I've selected Auto Enhance up here at the top. It improves the selections enormously. So that was the first of your tips and techniques. So now let's try and do a little bit more complex project. In this case, we're going to select this character here on the right. Then we're going to place him against a blue gradient background that you see over here in my layers palette, right there. So let's get this project started. First of all, I'm going to take a stroke of the interior of this character just like that, and I'm going to stop. Now I'm going to educate my brush to the colors that I don't want for this project. I find this technique works really well. And of course, I'm reducing the size of my brush down with the open bracket because professionals tell me that a smaller brush will give me more accurate selections. Now what I'm going to do is hold down the Option or Alt key, and I'm going to educate the brush by moving around the outside of this character and identify those shades of color that I do not want in my selection. So I accurately go around, I make sure I don't touch the interior of this character, I go all the way around, catching all the shades I can, and there, I've done it. Now nothing should happen because I'm selecting the areas I don't want. Now once again, I move back into my image and I start to paint over the areas that I do want. I'm going to make a quick pass. So let's go around here and select this area just like this. This upper arm, this finger, and then back up here into his head, just like this. So there we have a quick selection of a graphic made up of multiple shades of color. This would be a very difficult selection using the Magic Wand tool, for example. So this tool is unique and perfect for this type of project. What I want to do now is refine this edge. Moving back up here, I'm going to select the Quick Select tool one more time, which then reveals the Refine Edge button right here in my options bar. Clicking on this reveals my Refine Edge dialog. Quickly, down here at the bottom, you can see that you have 5 different preview modes. The standard preview here shows your selection and the background image. This displays a quick mask. Here is our image against black. Here's our image against white. And of course, here's the mask itself. Keep in mind, there's a quick keyboard shortcut for this, and that's the letter F on your keyboard. Will toggle you through all of these just like that. And of course, there's one more quick key I'd like to tell you about. That's the letter X. This will toggle you back and forth between your standard mode and your current preview mode. In this particular project, I'm going to demonstrate these new features against black. I'm going to move over here and zoom in on this section of the image right here. Then let's take a look at these features one by one. Here at the top, Radius is designed to refine the selection edge. In this particular case, I have a very hard edge selection. Radius really shows off its capabilities when you have a selection that's a soft edge selection. It then enhances and adds more detail to a soft feathered edge and will improve the qualities of areas of transition. If I move this to the right, you notice that it merely fuzzes the image and looks more like a feather. But in this particular case, I'm going to reduce this value because I have a fairly hard edge graphic right here. Contrast works in conjunction with this to adjust the type of edge you have. Very sharp edge or a little bit softer, based of course on your first radius adjustment. Down here under smooth, now this gets rid of jaggies. If I move this to the right, notice how it rounds off the corners of the selection. Here and then here. A little bit more rounding. In this particular case, I don't need that much rounding. I want a little bit more square edges, so I'm moving this over to right here. Then, feathering right here. Check this out. If I move the feathering over here to the right, it then blurs this mask that you're creating. Now keep in mind, this is a lot like working with levels and curves on a layer mask. You've used this technique before to adjust a mask using levels and curves, but think about refine edge as having the ability to blur the mask and then adjust it with levels and curves like radius, contrast, and smoothing. And even contract and expand that you find down here at the bottom. Let's move this feathering back here to the left, and then let's adjust the contract and expand right here. Let's move in a bit so we can get rid of some of that green fringe around the edge. And if I move this to the right, you can clearly see we can add more fringe. In this case, I want to drop this down a bit to get rid of the green fringe and improve my selection just like that. I'm going to click OK right now, and you can see here are our new results. But wait, I want to show you one other super user way to work with this new refine edge feature. I'm going to undo that last technique that I did with refine edge. And I want to show you a special technique, and in this case, it's a technique that will display and preview the way this selection will look on a targeted background. In this particular case, I want to see how this character will look against this blue gradient background. Yes, if I target this door layer right here, then I move to the base of my layers palette and add a layer mask right there. Check this out. First, I'm going to zoom back out a bit so we can see more of my image right here. Then I make sure that I have my layer mask targeted. Do you agree I have my layer mask targeted, and I would like to adjust the layer mask, and I'd like to adjust that with the new refine edge features. You cast your eyes over here and you see that refine edge is not available. However, if you go to the select menu, you can go down here to refine edge and it is available to you. So what's going on here? I can use the new refine edge capabilities to adjust an existing layer mask. Wow! This is like using levels and curves and some filters on a mask. So I can go in here and adjust radius, contrast, smooth adjustment here, feathering, contract and expand. So I have all of these capabilities available to me for this project. And as you can see here, if I select this first preview right here, I can then clearly see how the mask is working against my background. Let's move all of these back into their correct locations here and here. And let's zoom in on this area right here. And let's hide the current selection under the View menu and down to Hide right there. And now I can go in and make these adjustments. For example, if I wanted to get rid of the fringing around the edge, or if I wanted to feather it slightly, or if I even wanted to change the radius, all of those controls here on a live layer mask. Wow! I click OK. I zoom back out to look at my finished project, and there you have it. Amazing new capabilities, both with the new Quick Select tool and the Refine Edge feature. Don't forget, The Refine Edge feature is hiding under the Select menu right here when you target a layer mask. Give these a try.